We are live on YouTube because as soon as I finished recording my last podcast, Jrue Holiday got traded to the Portland Trailblazers for Anfernee Simons and picks. Let's talk about it. It's a live emergency edition of the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Beantown, be ever ready. It's the C's. Who else could it be? What they gon' say now? Screaming like JT Karalis. Recap the madness every game, every practice. Primetime dapping D White on the sideline. Raining J's, how it started. Raising business, how we finished. Locked On Celtics pod, home of the winners.
Hey there, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast. Didn't I just say that? Yeah, I posted a mailbag podcast, which is there. It's live. It's fresh. It's there. If you want to listen to it, I'm assuming you probably want to listen to Jrue Holiday talk because Jrue just got traded to the Portland Trailblazers for Anfernee Simons. Simons is here on now an expiring contract, $27.7 million. So the Celtics save about $5 million there in this trade, which I am not convinced is the final deal here. So but let's just start with this. Jrue Holiday going to Portland. Kind of weird that he's going back to Portland, but going back to Portland. And in exchange, Anfernee Simons, who is 26 years old, just turned 26, actually. Happy birthday, Anfernee Simons, just turned 26 at the beginning of the month. He's in Boston now, plus 2 second-round picks. So I know they were talking about first-round picks, but Holiday to Portland, Anfernee Simons to Boston, 2 second-round picks. And now here's the question. Does Simons stay in Boston or does he now get flipped? One of the things that I've been talking about with the Celtics is can they get a guy like Simons, turn around, flip him, save some more money, turn around, flip him, and save more money? I'm not convinced that this is the final move because according to Adam Himmelsbach of the Globe says, according to a league source, Celtics acquired Simons on an expiring deal because they like what he can bring to the roster, but added they will remain, quote, engaged on all fronts. So that tells me don't be photoshopping that Celtics jersey onto Simons just yet. Okay? He's an expiring contract. So 27.7 gets you down to 18 million, they said, under the, well, it depends. It depends. I think you got to factor in the first round pick salary. We'll see what the Celtics do with that. You still have the matter of Al Horford and Luke Cornett and all of that. I think technically right now the Celtics are $15 million away from the second apron. But regardless, my first reaction is they're not close. This move doesn't get them close enough to the second apron. There might be a subsequent move. So I come to this and I will analyze this and we'll talk about this more tomorrow. I'll get Tom Westerholm on and we'll have a good discussion. We'll see what comes of this. But I'm entering this analysis of Anfernee Simons being on the team with skepticism. All right. The comments are coming in super fast. I'm not doing this. I'm not answering a lot of these comments, but the addition of Simons, if this is the final move, is a very good offensive player. Like Brad Stevens brings in a really good player. He's smaller. He's 6'3". He's like the poor man's Damian Lillard in a way. He shoots the ball really well. Offensively would be a great fit, and he's kind of combo guard. So the Celtics could start a lineup with Simons, Derek White, Jaylen Brown. I don't know what's going to happen with Porzingis, but Porzingis, if he's around and healthy, and then I don't know what they do at power forward, or maybe they go with Brown at the 4 and they slot somebody else in at the 3. But regardless, there would be a hole to fill there, but the Celtics would have an incredible offensive team to start this. So I feel like on the surface, an Anfernee Simons just here for the season kind of fit would work offensively. Defensively, kind of not the best. He's bad. He's bad defensively. So that would be an issue. If they do intend on keeping him, then the Celtics would probably need to at least start the season with Porzingis or shore up their center spot, because you can't have a guy like Simons as at the point of attack and then no rim protection behind you. You need somebody back there to kind of help you out. Otherwise, this would be a much different kind of Celtics team. However, if you did have, he would be right in the mold of a guy that can play a little up tempo, can really shoot the ball well. He hit 203 pointers last season. I think if he stays, there is a case to be made that the Celtics offensively have gotten better. Knowing that Holiday took a step back willingly and could have done more offensively, which he has shown. Simons is, if you're looking for someone to kind of fill the gap and help score some points while Tatum is sitting out. And the answer to my question that I started with, Jayson Tatum could be your power forward if he comes back. Like I've been saying a million times, if he comes back January, February, and is healthy, if it's a best case scenario, that could be the answer heading into the playoffs. But regardless, the offense would be right there. Simons can come in. He averages about 20 points a game. In fact, career numbers, a little less than that. Last year was 19.3. Prior to that, 22.5, 21 before that. So he's capable of scoring very, very, much in bunches. 36% from 3 last year, but 38.5% the year before, 37 before that, 40, 42.5. He can hit the 3. He takes a high volume, fits right into Missoula ball, will not be afraid to put the shots up. And look, with a less than they were defensive team, you're going to have to probably put up a lot, but it's going to be a lot of outscoring the opponents. Jaylen Brown wants to play a little bit more up tempo. So that's going to be, I think, with Simons there, that's something that can work. Simons can spot up, all of that stuff. So I think just on the surface, this is a big win for Brad Stevens. Turning a guy in Holiday who has multiple years at 30 plus million into expiring 27 million Anfernee Simons alone. Forget about what he's capable of doing. That alone is a win. What you do from there is you can go a bunch of different directions. So, like I said, right off the bat, immediately trade him. He might not even be in training camp. We're talking about this and reacting to it, and I'm talking about his fit. He might not even play a second for the Boston Celtics. That could be an easy flip somewhere. They could. The other option is take him into the season. He plays, and then you have the trade deadline. And as I've been saying on this show plenty of times, the trade deadline is the next thing to watch for. So Holiday gone. Next step, is it Sam Hauser? Is it somebody else to get closer to that second apron? And then you figure it out from there. You can say, maybe you take Simons into the season and then the deadline comes along and he's the guy that you flip because he's an expiring guy and he can be a guy that a team talks themselves into. He's the missing piece. This could be a scenario where the Celtics take him in, give him a bigger role. At 26, he's going to be looking to get paid. When you trade for him, you trade for his bird rights. Then he has all year to have this big feature on a big stage. I don't know how many people were really watching the Portland Trailblazers last year. If you have the Celtics playing well, but not well enough, they're middle of the pack. Simons is having a big year for him, 20 plus points. The Celtics can turn around and say, hey, we can move him. We're willing to move him. What do you got for us? And the trade deadline puts so much pressure on teams where Brad can turn around and we could be talking in February about, well, the Jrue Holiday trade got these 2 second-round picks plus this player in exchange for Simons and this first-round pick or a second first round. You don't know what this season can bring for Simons and what they can get for him at the deadline. Turn around and flip that asset, and some other team can be the one that pays him moving forward. He's going to want to make his money, right? I don't know if he's averaging 20-something points per game, he's not going to be happy just making $27.5 million. He's going to want to raise. He's going to want to make $30-40 million at, being a 20 point per game scorer, and, a high level offensive player, an elite 3-point shooter. He's going to want his money. So let somebody else pay him. So the Celtics could easily do that. The other option, take him into the season. You want to contend, you can contend. See where it goes. Maybe you wait for Jayson to come back. He comes back. You're like, hey, let's make our run. And then you don't pay him. Maybe you just say, enjoy free agency. And you take that $27.7 million, comes right off the books. Now that gets you to like the first apron. And you're almost out of the luxury tax altogether. And that could be a path. So there's an immediate trade. There's a trade later. There's a let it play out and just let them walk. Lots of options here for the Celtics when it comes to Simons and what you do next. To me, the flexibility is the most important part. And this is why when I was talking about it, writing about it on Boston Sports Journal, I have been targeting in all of my discussions about what the Celtics should be doing with their with Jrue Holiday. I have been targeting guys with expiring contracts. I've been looking at almost exclusively expiring contract guys. So when you get them, you have these options. You have this flexibility. Like I said, you know, those 3 options are all legitimate options when it comes to what you do next, because now you have at least this, you know, these avenues, these choices. Another team can come to you and be like, no, actually, we wanted Simons and we were talking to Portland. We want in on this. And this could grow into a 3-team deal, by the way. It's not official. Like, nothing's been announced. I haven't gotten an email. I haven't gotten the official thing. That's not going to happen until maybe tomorrow. So they could immediately be turning to other teams and saying, hey, what do you got? Did you want Simons? Well, let's turn this into a 3-teamer and expand it. I don't think that's how it's going to go, but the Celtics could easily turn around and flip them. So the expiring contract is a huge, huge element to this, because the Celtics can now gather, regroup, decide what's next. Teams can come to Boston and be like, hey, what are you thinking here? And the worst case scenario is you've got a really, really good offensive player that you can carry into the season, and you say this guy makes up for some of the offense you lose with Jayson Tatum, and obviously like a little bit of shot creation, and you have to change things. You have to really change your defense and all of that. So I feel like it's a huge win. No matter what happens next, it's a huge win for Brad Stevens to not only get the picks, but to get this flexibility. But offensively, I think this is it's a win. If you keep them, this is a win. I think whatever happens next season, it's kind of gravy, right? It's if the Celtics, I've been talking about the Celtics, in a best case scenario, contending. They don't go into the season as contenders, but when the FanDuel put out the odds for this upcoming season, and the Celtics weren't anywhere near the top, but they were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plus 1,300, tied with Orlando, ahead of Minnesota, ahead of the Lakers, ahead of the Nuggets, ahead of the Clippers. So they are, at least according to FanDuel, still in the top 5 as far as odds to win the NBA title. Now, OKC, obviously the champion, turns around and gets immediate best odds. Cleveland's next. The Knicks are third. The Rockets tied with the Knicks because they just got KD. The Celtics plus 1,300 are around. They're around. I wonder what this trade will do to their odds, but there is a best case scenario where the Celtics can contend, come out of the East, have a shot, puncher's chance. Simons helps that in, on offense. As Bruce just mentioned in the comments, no defense. That's a problem. And this brings us to, like I said before, the Porzingis element, which I've been saying when it comes to Porzingis, I think you got to wait. I think the Celtics taking Porzingis into the regular season is a smart thing to do. If they stay, so right now they're 18 million or so away from the second apron. You trade Hauser into somebody's space / exception. You get to within 8 of the second apron. That's close enough. Then you take it into the season. You keep Porzingis around. Then during the regular season, you figure it out. You see what the benchmarks is. Is Jayson Tatum hitting the benchmarks? Is he coming back? What's his time frame for coming back? You can play the game and see if there's a best case scenario happening for Jayson Tatum. You say, all right, Jason's coming back. He looks like he's on pace to come back during the regular season. We're not going to do something else, or we're going to do something minor, and we're going to roll with it. We're going to try to go depending on how the regular season is going. You can push this. Having Porzingis around as a guy to protect the rim behind Simons, that's going to be important. It's just, if you keep Simons, again, I'm not sold on Simons staying, but if you keep him, you need Porzingis behind him to protect the rim. Absolutely. You cannot have a defense without a rim protector if Anfernee Simons is on your team, because it doesn't matter what Jaylen does defensively. It doesn't matter what Derek White does defensively. When you have a player as weak as Simons defensively, you need a rim protector, because you just can't make up for that loss. They'll probably play a lot more zone if that's the case. If they, Quapt, I see you. I know, but I'm assuming that Porzingis is going to come back and play and be whatever, be what he was during the regular season. But, or you trade for a guy that can protect the rim. Either way, however you do it, you need rim protection behind Simons. So if you're going to keep Anfernee Simons, you need a rim protector, or you need to score 140 points a game, which he can help do, right? So I feel like there's value to keeping Porzingis in town while Simons is here. Now, Simons might not be here for long. I don't know what the plan is next for him. And I'm just going to, at this point, just keep refreshing my Twitter to see. You never know what's next. But I think this is just a high value move from Brad Stevens, just because of all the flexibility it gives. I love the question that I just got. How do you feel about this dropping after you've dropped an episode? It is fun to have done a whole podcast, edit, post it, and all of that, and then have to go on here. And you know what? Do it live. Why not? What the hell? Get the immediate reaction. But that's my immediate reaction. So great move by Brad Stevens, because it allows for so much else to happen. Great move, whether you trade him immediately, which I can totally see, whether you keep him and trade him at the deadline, which I can totally see, whether you keep him and let him walk, which I can totally see. The one element I haven't really talked about is keeping him and re-signing him, extending him. I think that's the least likely scenario. I don't see a world where Simons is kind of part of the long-term future. And maybe I'll sit on it. I'll chew on it when we come back tomorrow for more analysis of this trade. We'll have to really dig into whether the Celtics could keep Simons. I just don't see, in this world of cut salary when it comes to the Celtics, I don't see a guy like Simons sticking around, because he's not going to take less than what he's making for a guy that would be averaging 20 plus per game. I mean, you tell me in the comments section, at 27 million in this economy, in this NBA, with the money, like Jaylen's going to be making $57 million or $53 million next year. Tatum's making 54. So a guy making 27, which is half of Jaylen, half of Jayson, to be a 20 point per game scorer, it feels low, right? He's worth more, even without the defense. He's worth more than half a Tatum, half a Brown. So the Celtics are shedding salary. Is there a world where they keep him? I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, unless we're talking about moving Jaylen and keeping the $30 million guy, maybe there's a long-term, if we want to explore the long-term possibility, which is the last of the possibilities. And I'm 24 minutes into talking blah, blah, blah. And only now am I thinking the potential for a long-term Anfernee Simons. Could you do Tatum with Derek White and Simons as your three guys, with a Peyton Pritchard and Baylor Shireman and picks? Does anybody like that? I don't know if I like that very much. So I'm going to say that that's the least likely scenario. That's what I'm going to have to sleep on, assuming I get any sleep. But I'm going to have to really think about that one. I don't think he's a long-term guy, but also sometimes when I think something's not likely, it turns out being exactly what Brad Stevens is planning on doing. So I have to really think about that. And I want to end this just by saying, I guess, thank you to Jrue Holiday, because first of all, great player, great basketball player. And I know we're in a situation now where trading him was the obvious move. It made perfect sense. And, there's no one disagreeing with this trade. I think it's universal that this trade is good, and it's probably good for Portland. They needed defense, and I think they're going to try to keep him. Holiday was critical to Boston winning that championship. That championship season, there were plenty of times in those playoffs where the Celtics were starting to go on their little kind of forays, and they were like, oh boy, okay, here, this isn't going exactly great. And Holiday would come in. I've called him the adult in the room dozens of times, and he absolutely was that during the championship season. He calmed the Celtics down more than anything, more than some of the steals, more than the plays that he made, the specific plays. He was the adult in the room when things got a little tight for the rest of the Celtics. He was the guy that had been there, done that, and was cool. And that was so critical to what the Celtics needed. There's a reason why trading for Jrue Holiday immediately leads to a championship for good teams. The power of Jrue Holiday to power a championship is really going to be put to the test here. If Portland turns around and wins the championship next season, then I think it's pretty obvious that Jrue Holiday is magic. I think it ends now, but trading for Jrue Holiday worked for Milwaukee. Trading for Jrue Holiday worked for Boston. Maybe there's another team somewhere in there that's going to trade for Jrue Holiday, a good team that's going to trade for them. Portland's going to be a facilitator for the next thing again, and that'll work its magic there. But there's a reason why that worked for Milwaukee and the reason why it worked for Boston. More than that, he's just been great in the locker room. He's been great for the city of Boston. His locker room demeanor, his charity work, his just everything. It's been so top notch. I feel like it's a good move on the basketball sense. It's a good move for the money. We've been talking about it forever, but it sucks on a personal level because he's just such a high quality individual. His family's great. I'm going to miss his little son running around and like just his son is awesome. I'm just going to say that his kids are awesome. He and his wife do amazing work. So just, I guess from a Celtics perspective, it's going to be a big thank you, Jrue, and in his return, whether it's with Portland or with somebody else is going to be, is great. So, okay. Abby is speaking that hard. Yeah, because I've been talking for 28 minutes on top of talking for 40 minutes on my last podcast. So I've been talking for like an hour. So speaking is that hard right now. So thank you all. I'm going to wrap it up right there. In summation, great move by Brad Stevens. Great move by Brad Stevens. I think this is the first step, and we'll be back tomorrow to kind of explore these other avenues. Like I said, Simons could be gone by the end of the draft, could be gone by the end of July, or he could be there for training camp. We still got to wait and see. But I do appreciate everybody being here for the live reaction. Thank you so much. I do appreciate it. Make sure you're subscribed to the podcast. I'll be here. It's a Monday through Friday podcast. So I appreciate everybody. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. Hop in there. Let me know what you're thinking. Share your reaction to the trade in the comment section. Share the podcast with everybody. I do appreciate it. Thanks, everybody, for listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast. It's right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.